No matter who you are as a person, one thing is clear. Truth is truth. And JJ Redick was keeping it 1,000% real. He didn't care what the feedback would be. He just spoke his mind. And I'm starting to respect JJ Redick. And ESPN would be some fools to ever let him go. He's played basketball in the NBA and college with Duke, and he's accomplished at every single level. But as a commentator, he did his thing. And in this subject, in NIL, he said something that made sense. And I'll chime in. What's good, everyone? This is RawTruth Media giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Make sure to like and share this video throughout all social media platforms. Peace and blessings to everyone that's tuned in. No matter who you are, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, etc. Truth is truth. And when you're keeping it real, here at RawTruth Media, we'll give you props and show love. JJ Redick, man, since retiring, he's been doing his thing. He's doing podcast work. He's doing NBA Countdown and so forth. And yesterday he talked about NIL. And he talked about how the NCAA, the governing body that is, as well as coaches, all that control that they were having over student athletes, it's diminishing. And I've always believed that once you're 18 years old, you have the right to control your own destiny, your life. If you're old enough to go into the war, you're old enough to make decisions and financial decisions. But JJ Redick broke it down so well. And here's what he said.
This, to me, across college football and high-level college basketball comes down to a simple thing, and that's just control. For decades, coaches, athletic departments, conferences, the NCAA has had control. And it's why they've been so unwilling to change the system. For decades, college football and high-level college basketball has not been an amateur sport. And so now, instead of coming up with an equitable solution for the top athletes at the top schools, the NCAA, conferences, and schools basically kicked the can and opened up the wild, wild west. And that's where we are right now. It's why a number of coaches have retired, if I'm being honest. It's why a number of coaches have retired. It's why Dabo Swinney has spoken out so vehemently against NIL. And it's why Nick Saban has a real problem here. It comes down to control. They've been in control for so long, and now the athlete has a little bit of control, which in professional sports we've had for a long time. But now that college athletes are getting to actually use their name, image, and likeness to create a marketplace, they have a real issue with that. It comes down to that. It's that simple. It's just a matter of, we've lost a little bit of control over the situation, and now they're acting out. Say we had, look, there's going to be regulations at some point. Right now we're in the opening innings of this. I do believe the NCAA and the conferences and the schools will figure out a way to make the NIL stuff more regulated. Let's go back to prior to NIL and say, let's come up with an equitable solution. If you are a player at Alabama or you are a Duke basketball player, let's come up with an equitable solution, because these programs are making a lot of money. They're appearing on television. There's numerous conferences now that have their own television deals. The problem is that coaches' salaries have continued to rise. Athletic departments have continued to grow. Athletic department salaries have continued to grow. They've just been unwilling to share the pot. They've been unwilling to share the pot. So there was probably some other solution to this. I'm not smart enough to get to that. So this is basically the NCAA saying, you know what, you guys handle it. We're going to do NIL. Let's let the players just have at it. And we're seeing the effects of that. In terms of extortion, Stephen, extorted for what? Money? Well-earned money?
I don't know.
Like money that they deserve? I don't have. What's
Right.
the issue?
Well said by JJ Redick. See, JJ Redick talked about the psychology of these coaches as well as the NCAA. They're mad at these young athletes for just getting a piece of the pie, even with the NIL. Today's players are not really hurting the pockets of coaches and the NCAA as a brand. And if someone ever says it, then they're lying. So why are they complaining? They're complaining because coaches like Nick Saban wants all control. He doesn't want some of the control. His ego wants all the control. And that's not the new reality. If you look at the thumbnail, what does it says? You know, you got to get with the times. Times are different now. This is the player empowerment age. And if you're a coach entering the NCAA, you got to get your mind right to understand that it's about the players. It's not about you. It's about helping those, teaching those who are you're coaching to have a better life, to be productive citizens. That's what you're trying to do. Win games, teach life, and create a brand. But that ego is a powerful thing. And when Nick Saban was speaking to his base, you realize the boosters, some of the boosters at Alabama were around when Alabama was segregated. So they seen those Bear Bryant teams. That's who was in there. I'm not saying 100% of them, but the folks who were around in the late 60s, early 70s, they run that good old boy network. Now, I'm not calling out Nick Saban or who he is or not. I don't know the man. I'm just saying the mindset. No matter if you're a good person or not, when you're a person of power, you still have that mindset is, I'm not going to let anyone control what I got. So when Nick Saban was calling out A&M and talking mess about the great things that Jackson State was doing, you can feel how pissed off he was. And it showed his true colors. I'm sure Nick Saban is probably going to win another championship here and there. But even if he does, I just see him as a man who's won a lot of championships. But to me, if you ask me who's the best coach of all time, who handled the most difficulty in each era and excelled and win, it's always been Eddie Robinson. And it will forever be Eddie Robinson until I see something different. Now, you may disagree with me, but if you ask any brother and sister, especially from the South, who's the best coach of all time, they would agree. But we need more people like JJ Redick to put the mirror, quote unquote, to people's faces and let them see the reflection. You coaches, not all, but some of you coaches, y'all got to realize it's not about you. It's about the next generation. So I don't want to hear about any complaining about if this get a bag, if that get a bag. Stop paper watching. See, that's what I grew up on. We don't paper watch. We worry about ourselves so we can elevate our lives. Everyone else needs to follow suit. And before I go, y'all realize when JJ Redick was keeping it real like he was doing, Stephen A was as silent as a church mouse. Even when he replied to it, it wasn't strong enough. But it's a breath of fresh air. Anybody, I don't care who you are, if you speaking that real, you will show love. This is RawTruth Media, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. And before I go, man, let's make a promise to each and every one of us listening Make sure to be a congratulator and not a hater. Let's be true to ourselves and authentic and show love to every single one of us. It doesn't take much to do that. Even with YouTube, you can still show respect. What I'm asking is not too difficult. This is RawTruth Media, giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Peace and blessings, peace and love, and I'm out.